I believe that life is designed to be fun and rewarding. But for many of us, at least for periods of time, we have felt that life is grinding and often regrettable. And if you've ever felt that way, go for a walk with me today and let's talk about it. Okay, so why do I think this happens? Why does this life that fills us with energy and excitement and awe, why does that change? And there's a number of reasons it changes, right? As you become an adult, you know, when you're a toddler, everything's new and exciting. But as you become an adult and you're the one responsible for keeping eyes on that toddler to make sure that their awe and wonder doesn't lead them to getting hurt, you know, there's a lot of responsibilities there. But why do we lose this sense of excitement? Why do we lose this sense of enjoyment and thrill? And we go to bed and we're excited for tomorrow. What happens along the journey? And, you know, I think the main word is a three-letter word, J-O-B, right? We all have jobs. We need money to pay our mortgages, to put food on the table, to put a roof over our head, to provide for our families. But what is it about the J-O-B? I had a friend of mine tell me that, you know, work is a four-letter word, almost like it's a cuss word, right? And there's some truth to that. So here's some thoughts, right? I'm at the tail end of my career now. I've been working a long time, and I have been able to find that happy balance, that happy medium. And that's what I want to share with you today, in the hopes that maybe a few of these points may resonate with you. A few of these points may lead you to say, you know what, I'm enjoying the journey a little bit more. So let's talk about it. And high level, I really look and I say, you know, we have two choices when it comes to a job. We have two choices when it comes to a career. We can either build somebody else's dream, or we can build our own dream. And none of these are perfect, right? Let's say you decide you want to build your own dream. That doesn't mean that, you know, everything's going to be unicorns and sunshine. So first, let me talk a little bit more about what I mean by we have two choices, right? We either take a job and we're working for somebody else, whether that's the government and we're providing services to, I live in the United States, you're providing services to other American citizens, or for a private company that's run by an individual, or for a large Fortune 500 company that's owned by a bunch of shareholders. You know, that's an example of building somebody else's dream. And then the example of building your own dream is you have an idea for a company and you put in the hard work, you put in the long hours, you put in the blood, sweat, and tears to bring that company to reality, to bring that company into the world, and to offer your product, to offer your services. And each of these has its own pros and cons associated with it. I'm not saying do one or don't do the other. Let's start with building your own company first. You know, that's fun. It's fun to build your dream, to have an idea and to bring that to fruition. And, you know, I was fortunate. In my late 20s, I was able to do that. Was able to start a company, was able to raise some money, had 200 plus employees working for me. We were in multiple states, and fortunately I was able to sell it to a publicly held company. Now, it wasn't a huge home run, but it was a great experience, and it did set me up financially to be on a good path. That was kind of the foundation that got me going. It wasn't enough that I could retire when I was in my early 30s. I had to continue to work financially, but it was a good experience. But you know what? It was also exhausting. And so if you're on the path where you're building your own company, first off, you know, congrats and good for you, because America, as I said, I'm recording this in the United States. America is built off of small businesses. I think it's something like 60% of us work for small companies. And the company I work for now has less than 40 employees. So we're a small company. So what are some things that I learned from that experience building my first company? You know, I was running 100 miles an hour. Now, I was in my late 20s, so I had more energy. I had more fuel in the tank. I could do that. Longer days and more consecutive longer days. I can't string together 30 of those days with 5 or 6 hours of sleep in a row. I can do a couple a month, but I can't do 30 like I used to be able to do. So if you're in that situation, pace yourself. You know, look and just say it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. I really wish that I had taken that philosophy. And another thing, you know, the challenge when you're running your own company is there's always the next opportunity. There's always something else that you can be pursuing to make more money. And I think one of the keys, particularly as your company is succeeding, is to really focus and to learn the power of saying no. And you're going to see me theme this back in with those of us that are building somebody else's dream as well. But you have to be careful when it's your company, because there's so many different avenues that you can use to earn extra money. Just having the courage to say no to extra money. You know, if we wanted to work 18 hours a day, we could, and we'd probably make more money. There'd be more opportunities we could chase. Now, I would argue you're not going to have the same energy, you're not going to have the same focus, but you get what I'm saying. There's always an opportunity to chase. And if you want to enjoy the journey, you have to be willing to say no. Okay, so what about the rest of us? What about those of us that are working for for building somebody else's dream? In full disclosure, I'm an owner of the company that I'm at, but I'm a minority owner. So I am effectively building my business partner's dreams in addition to building my own dream. And so if you're in that situation, you know, how do you get balance? How do you get that joy? And you know, frankly, I would argue that that is part of your company's leadership's responsibility. It's their responsibility, in part, to create a work atmosphere that's encouraging, that's exciting, that you're happy to get to. But, you know, the reality is they have a lot of, our managers, our bosses, they have a lot of pressures on themselves as well. And most managers don't do as good of a job as they should. So if we want to be happy, that's something that we have to put on our plates. And one thing, as I would say, is don't be afraid to stick up for yourself. Don't be afraid to say, these are the things that I want in order to help build this dream. And let me give you examples of some things that I think are perfectly reasonable. I think in today's world, where we no longer go work for a company for 20, 30, 40 years, like in my case, my parents could have if they wanted to. Those days are gone now, right? And even in my case, as a minority owner in my company, as an employee, I'm still an at-will employee. And what that means is I could come in tomorrow morning to work and they could say, hey, thanks for your 20 plus years of service. Your services are no longer needed. So what are things that are fair for you to say, you know, these are things I need? And I think job number one on that is personal development. If we're going to be at-will employees, if we can come in on any day with no notice and be told, hey, you know, you're fired, you're laid off, whatever the term is, then I think it's also fair that while we're in that position, we have to continually be sharpening our saw. So that's number one, is personal development. The other thing that I think will help you enjoy the journey, help you stay excited to wake up in the morning and to be at work, which benefits everybody, is really making sure that occasionally you treat yourself. You know, you treat yourself to maybe going on a industry conference that you think would be fun. Maybe it's in Orlando, Florida in January, or you take a week off on vacation, which might otherwise be a week that you don't like at work. For instance, I really, you know, it's a busy time of the year, but I really enjoy working the last 2 weeks of the year. I don't have a choice. It's a busy time of the year in my industry. But I'd rather take off time in January than in December. So that's for me. So just treating yourself. And then, like I said earlier with the company owner, being willing to say no. Being willing to say, you know what, my plate is full. Unfortunately, I cannot take on that extra project. Or I'm happy to take on that extra project, but we have to reprioritize the other things that are on my plate. You know, too many of us, we've been successful by saying yes, by going above and beyond. But if you're feeling like life is a grind, if you're looking back at a previous year and saying, boy, that year flew by and I didn't get what I wanted, I didn't get what I needed out of the year, right? If you feel it's a grind and it's regrettable, then we need to do something different. And speaking of doing something different, that's what this video here is how do we enjoy the journey more, specifically for people in their 50s and 60s. 7 things I want you to think about, stop doing in order to enjoy your journey more. I'll see you in there. Bye-bye.